Your father smiles upon us. Your father smiles upon us. Your father smiles upon us.
Hello guys. You've been waiting for this episode for a long time, haven't you, Jess? I'm sorry, I've been very lazy of myself. But there's just so many new things that keep happening in my life, like for instance, today I defrosted my freezer, and would you know, living in this northern country, there were two yetis already occupying my freezer space, and they weren't too keen about me suddenly coming in and bringing in local warming into their environment. So they stole my meat, and I'm a little bit sad for that. But all I need to do is just go to my computer and play some PvK, and I'll be just as happy once again. Making Spanish people fall over into the void. Good times, good times. But did you know, in our previous video I was talking about melee weapons, but now we're going to talk about ranged weapons, because if you've been playing PvK for a bit now, you should probably have noticed that there are classes that apparently shoot sharp piercing projectiles fired from wood-crafted armaments at a velocity of a high numerical value. What madness is this? Now yes, that is actually the thing. There are some ranged classes in the game, and they do a lot of damage, either from being ranged weapons that classes just use as a bonus, or if this is something that one class is dedicated into, like for instance to the archers and the sharpshooter. They both have very strong range capabilities, because that is their main purpose in their teams, to be a ranged bitch, who everyone just hates if he does good. Whilst at the same time there are some classes that just have a ranged weapon as a bonus, like for instance as I'm playing Huskal, I have throwing axes, and for instance the Jester, he has javelins, or maybe the captain, the pirate captain, he has a short range blunderbuss. These are the so-called bonus ranged, because it's not the the class's primary ways of dealing damage. It's not that class's role. It's just for being there as a bonus for trying to confront classes you normally have a lot of disadvantages to, like for instance as Huskal Skirmisher. Huskal can't catch skirmishers. No one can catch skirmishers besides berserkers, and there you have it. That's what the throwing axes would be probably the best thing for, or just in general soften up your opponent before you actually engage in battle. Anyway, there are two kinds of weapons in this game, hit scan and projectile. I'm gonna pause right here. Look at this scenario. You see a Viking berserker running towards an archer. You know he's going to run this way. So what I need to do is, when I pull up my crossbow, I need to aim roughly where I think he's going to run. Like here.
Get the treasure!
And as you can see, interestingly enough, I hit him. And this is the base idea how the projectile weapons work, which are the archer's bow, the crossbow, the sharpshooter musket, the Jester's javelins, Huskal's throwing axes, and I think that's it. But of course, all range weapons don't work this way. Some weapons are actually hit scan, and that means that when you click, the bullet will hit where you aim instantly. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Because it eliminates the whole deal of having to lead your targets. You don't need to learn all of that, which can be quite a hassle and very tricky and difficult to master. But once you master it, you will probably be the most hated person in the server. Everyone will accuse you of aimbotting, which is completely bogus, because you cannot aimbot with a weapon you need to lead your targets with. Your weapons would be completely useless at long range. No, so the hit scan weapons are the skirmisher's flintlock pistol, the sharpshooter's pistol, and the the captain's blunderbuss. Sorry, I'm seeing Gesters on the screen and I'm getting a little bit confuzzled. Take note that all of the ranged weapons in this game are very unique and different. I mean, all the classes have some sort of unique weapon. Well, okay, if we don't count like the longbow, because if you charge a you charge your shot and then release mouse 1, and that is how you fire, which is basically how the longbow works, how the axe works, how the javelin works, and so forth. But of course the javelin is a little bit different, because the guest steers javelin, you need, not only do you need to hold down mouse to charge it, you need to keep running forward and keep the momentum going in order to achieve full maximum potential with that weapon. It'll get thrown longer and it will do more damage. But my point here is just being that all the weapons in PvK, they are very different. None is the same, they all have different ranges, throwing speeds, damage and such. The only so you'll have to play all the classes just to get a nice feel for them. So because I cannot exactly put in many tips how to use all the different range weapons effectively. The only thing I really want to teach you is the whole thing about leading targets, which, as I stated earlier, meant if someone is running to the left, you need to aim a little bit leftwards in front of them. But of course the different weapons have the projectiles travel at different speeds and such, as I mentioned, so things like that can really only be learned through natural training. There is no tips I can provide you with how to learn yourself to aim shots. Well, besides being that you can, if you're an archer, you can see how the arrow travels through the air, and if you shoot enough arrows, you will start to get a feel for how fast you can see how fast this arrow travels. So you will more or less just become a natural instinct at this subject. The next thing I want to mention is that some classes have weapons that needs to be reloaded in such a manner that you need to stand still and you will be a sitting duck during the time you're reloading. You cannot move, you cannot turn around. And this goes for the captain, the sharpshooter and the archer. When you shoot this crossbow, it's only like this one shot, then you need to reload it manually, and by doing that you of course press R, and you go down here and do this little reload animation and you will stand still and be very vulnerable. So there's a trick to try to reload when you should. You should of course try to keep it loaded at all times, the crossbow, the rifle and the blunderbuss, because those are a little bit of an insurance. Those deal a lot of damage like with just a click, so it becomes an insurance. If you're having a hard time beating someone, you can just pull that out. And also remember to press right mouse button to zoom in, which actually does a lot more damage and it's dead on accurate. Alright? Good. So you should reload these as much as you can, but without getting yourself in danger. Good times to do this is if there's no one around who really knows that you're there. Reload your crossbow. Even if there's like someone in your line of sight that you could shoot with your longbow, unless it's absolutely crucial that you engage, don't. Just reload. You're all safe. Another thing would be that you can just quickly retreat out of combat. If you have like a few friends, a Heavy Knight that's with you, you can just slip away, reload, come back. Also, extremely important, if you're reloading and you're suddenly going to get your ass handed to you because a berserker just managed to hear you saying, "Cover me whilst I reload," and then he goes, "Oh, there's an archer over there, he's reloading," you will be an easy kill. But you know what you can do to prevent getting yourself slaughtered in a Viking hand? Switch weapons. If you switch weapons, it will cancel your reload animation, and you can flee for your life, like a coward, but you will still be alive. Just a little quick conclusion then, the ranged weapons can be difficult to master. There are projectile weapons and hit scan weapons. Hit scan weapons hit instantly when you click, and projectile weapons are actual projectiles that takes time traveling through the air until they actually hit people. The tricky part is to learn how to lead your targets, which feels very rewarding when you actually master it. Here's a trick: if you're having a hard time learning how to lead targets, try to aim for a choke point, like a very narrow path that you know people will go through, and when someone stands there, there's not a lot of room to dodge. Like doorways and hallways are very good for this kind of matter. If someone is pursuing and he's running towards the door, aim for the door. He's going to run through it in one way or another, and it'll increase your chances to actually hit someone. I'm sorry if I didn't mention that much that I probably should have. I think I've forgotten a lot of things, but there's one last thing that I think is possibly the best thing about ranged weapons. Projectiles, actually, not counting musket balls. Not counting the musket balls. All projectile weapons can be picked up if you miss. If you shot, for example, a spear, or an arrow, or an axe into a wall, it will stick there, and you can run over to the wall and just pick it up. And that is an extremely good way of conserving ammunition, particularly in last team standing, where there is no ammo pickups. Good? Very good. And then I don't think there's anything else to say. As usual, I'm very sorry if I've forgotten anything, but I can't remember everything. I am only a dench. I'm not that overpowered, but I try. In any case, I will bid you gentlemen fare thee well, infants, and bye-bye.